Hi there. Welcome to the 852 Creative Studio channel. This is your space to explore new ideas, sharpen your skills, and grow into the best version of yourself. So if you're ready to discover, improve, and transform, let's begin. Introduction. James Clear's Atomic Habits is a practical manual for anyone who wants to change their life not through dramatic revolutions, but through small, consistent improvements. Clear's central idea is that habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Just as money multiplies through interest, the effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them. Success, therefore, is not about radical transformation, but about building systems that make good habits inevitable and bad habits difficult. The book blends psychology, neuroscience, and real-world stories to show how habits are formed, how they can be reshaped, and how they ultimately determine the trajectory of our lives. Clear's message is empowering. Tiny changes, repeated daily, can lead to extraordinary outcomes. Chapter 1. The Power of Small Habits. Clear begins with the analogy of a plane leaving Los Angeles. A tiny 3.5-degree shift in its course would send it to Washington, D.C. instead of New York. This illustrates how small changes, though imperceptible at first, lead to dramatically different destinations over time. Habits work the same way. Eating one pizza won't make you overweight, and jogging once won't make you fit. But repeated daily actions compound into significant results. The key is to focus less on immediate outcomes and more on long-term trajectory. Progress often feels invisible in the short term, but persistence ensures transformation. Clear emphasizes that discouragement often comes from not seeing immediate results. Saving a small amount of money each month may feel insignificant, but over years it builds into financial security. Similarly, learning a language may feel slow at first, but daily practice compounds into fluency. The compounding effect is invisible until it suddenly becomes undeniable. Reflection. This chapter challenges our obsession with quick wins. It reminds us that meaningful change is rarely visible at first. The lesson is to trust the process. If your trajectory is positive, results will eventually follow. Personally, this resonates with saving money or learning a skill. Early progress feels trivial, but compounded effort builds momentum. The reflection here is to ask, am I on the right path, even if I don't yet see the results? The discipline lies in staying consistent even when the payoff feels distant. The practical application is to measure progress by direction, not speed, and to celebrate consistency rather than immediate outcomes. Chapter 2. How Habits Are Formed. Habits are automatic behaviors learned through repetition. Clear explains this using Edward Thorndike's 19th century experiment with cats and puzzle boxes. Initially, the cats scrambled randomly, but after repeated trials, they quickly learned to press a lever to escape. The behavior became automatic. Modern psychology identifies 4 stages of habit formation. Cue, the trigger that initiates behavior. Craving, the desire for a change in state. Response, the action itself. Reward, the satisfaction gained. For example, waking up cue creates a craving for alertness, leading to making coffee, response, and feeling energized, reward. This loop explains why habits stick. Clear stresses that every habit follows this loop, whether positive or negative. Smoking, for instance, begins with a cue, stress, followed by a craving, relief, a response, lighting a cigarette, and a reward, temporary calm. Understanding this cycle allows us to intervene at any stage to reshape behavior. Reflection. Understanding the habit loop is empowering. It shows that habits aren't mysterious. They follow predictable patterns. Reflecting on this, one can analyze personal routines. What cues trigger my actions? What cravings drive them? By dissecting habits, we gain control over them. For instance, recognizing that boredom triggers social media scrolling allows us to replace that response with something more productive. The reflection is practical. If I want to change a habit, which part of the loop should I adjust? The cue, the craving, the response, or the reward? This awareness transforms habits from unconscious routines into deliberate choices. Chapter 3, Building Habits with Cues and Plans. To build new habits, cues must be obvious and intention-specific. Clear introduces implementation intentions, a strategy where you define exactly when and where a habit will occur. Instead of vaguely promising to practice guitar, you commit, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 a.m., I will practice for 1 hour. Environment also plays a crucial role. By placing the guitar in the middle of the living room, the cue becomes unavoidable. Similarly, Dr. Ann Thorndike's cafeteria experiment showed that rearranging soda and water placement led to healthier choices without conscious effort. Visible cues make habits easier to adopt. Clear emphasizes that vague goals rarely succeed. Saying, "I'll eat healthier," lacks specificity. But saying, "I'll eat a salad for lunch every weekday at noon," creates a clear plan tied to a cue. Implementation intentions transform vague hopes into concrete actions. Reflection. This chapter highlights the importance of designing environments that support desired behaviors. Reflection prompts us to ask, are my surroundings nudging me toward success or failure? For example, keeping fruit on the counter encourages healthy eating, while hiding the TV remote discourages mindless viewing. The takeaway is that willpower is overrated. Environmental design is far more effective. The reflection here is to consider, what small environmental tweaks could make my desired habits nearly automatic? The practical step is to make cues visible and intentions concrete, turning aspirations into structured commitments. Chapter 4, the role of rewards and motivation. Humans are motivated not only by rewards themselves, but also by the anticipation of rewards. Neuroscientists James Olds and Peter Milner demonstrated this in the 1950s when they discovered dopamine's critical role in desire. When dopamine release was blocked in rats, they lost the will to eat, drink, or reproduce, showing that dopamine is not simply about pleasure, but about the drive to pursue it. Importantly, dopamine spikes not only when rewards are received, but also when they are anticipated. This means that expectation alone can energize us to act, making anticipation a powerful ally in habit formation. James Clear introduces temptation bundling, a strategy that pairs an unattractive habit with something enjoyable. Ronan Byrne, an engineering student, connected his exercise bike to Netflix, so he could only watch shows while cycling. By linking effort with entertainment, he transformed a chore into a pleasure. Other examples include listening to audiobooks while commuting, enjoying podcasts while cleaning, or rewarding study sessions with a favorite snack. By bundling tasks with pleasures, we harness dopamine to sustain effort and make consistency far more achievable. Reflection. This chapter invites us to rethink motivation. Reflection asks, how can I make necessary habits enjoyable? Pairing tasks with rewards, like listening to music while cleaning or enjoying a favorite snack after studying, creates positive associations. The insight is that discipline alone is fragile. Enjoyment sustains habits. The reflection is to experiment with bundling. What pleasurable activity can I link to a habit I struggle with? This approach reframes effort as opportunity and transforms obligation into anticipation. Chapter 5. Make habits easy. One of the most powerful ways to ensure a habit sticks is to make it as easy as possible to perform. Humans naturally gravitate toward behaviors that require less effort, which is why scrolling social media or snacking on chips often wins over studying or exercising. James Clear emphasizes two strategies: reducing friction for good habits and increasing friction for bad ones. For example, his wife keeps a box of greeting cards sorted by occasion, making it effortless to send one. Conversely, unplugging the TV or removing batteries from the remote adds just enough friction to discourage mindless viewing. Clear also introduces the 2-minute rule. Any habit should start with a version that takes less than 2 minutes. Reading 2 pages a night or putting on running shoes after work lowers the barrier to entry. These small beginnings often snowball into larger actions because starting is the hardest part. By simplifying habits and breaking them down into manageable steps, we make consistency achievable and progress inevitable. Reflection. This chapter emphasizes that success often depends on simplicity. Reflection encourages us to ask, how can I reduce friction for good habits and increase it for bad ones? For instance, preparing gym clothes the night before reduces friction, while deleting social media apps increases friction. The 2-minute rule is particularly powerful. It reframes daunting tasks into manageable steps, proving that starting is the hardest part. The reflection is to identify, what's the 2-minute version of the habit I want to build? This mindset transforms intimidating goals into approachable actions and builds momentum through small wins. Chapter 6. The importance of immediate satisfaction. Humans evolved in an immediate return environment where actions produced instant outcomes. Today, many beneficial habits, saving money, exercising, studying, offer delayed rewards, making them harder to sustain. To counter this, Clear advises attaching immediate gratification to long-term habits. Stephen Luby's work in Karachi illustrates this principle. By introducing pleasant soap, he made hand-washing satisfying, leading to dramatic improvements in public health. Similarly, a couple who wanted to save money created a trip to Europe account, transferring $50 each time they cooked at home. The immediate satisfaction of seeing savings grow reinforced the habit. Clear argues that attaching immediate rewards to delayed return habits bridges the gap between present effort and future payoff. This makes habits sustainable and resilient against the lure of instant gratification. Reflection. This chapter highlights the tension between short-term desires and long-term goals. Reflection. How can I make delayed return habits satisfying right now? For example, tracking progress visually, like crossing off days on a calendar, or rewarding yourself with small treats can bridge the gap. The insight is that immediate satisfaction is not indulgence. It's a tool for sustaining discipline. The reflection is to design rewards. What small immediate pleasure can I attach to my long-term goals? This ensures consistency in the face of delayed gratification and keeps motivation alive. Chapter 7. Tracking and Accountability. Even with pleasure and ease, habits can fade without reinforcement. Clear emphasizes two powerful tools: habit tracking and habit contracts. Habit tracking is the simple act of recording progress, whether through journals, calendars, or apps, and it provides immediate satisfaction. Benjamin Franklin famously tracked his adherence to 13 virtues daily, proving that visible records strengthen commitment. Modern streak-based apps like Duolingo use the same principle. People are motivated not to break the chain. Habit contracts go further by introducing consequences. Entrepreneur Brian Harris signed a contract with his wife and trainer, committing to weight loss with financial penalties for failure. Such agreements leverage social accountability and the fear of losing face. Together, tracking and contracts transform habits from private intentions into public commitments, making consistency more likely and progress more tangible. Reflection. This chapter underscores the importance of external accountability. Reflection prompts us to ask, how can I make my habits visible and accountable? Tracking progress provides tangible evidence of success, while contracts leverage social dynamics. The lesson is that humans are social creatures. Knowing others are watching can be a powerful motivator. The reflection is to consider, who can I involve in my habit journey to keep me honest and consistent? Conclusion. Systems over goals. Clear concludes by emphasizing that transformation doesn't come from radical change, but from consistent systems of habits. Goals are useful for direction, but systems are what drive progress. By stacking habits, linking new behaviors to existing ones, we can build momentum. For example, meditating after morning coffee leverages an established routine to anchor a new one. Ultimately, success is not about achieving one big breakthrough, but about cultivating a lifestyle where small, positive actions compound into extraordinary results. Reflection. The final reflection is to shift focus from outcomes to processes. Ask yourself, what systems am I building? Goals may inspire, but habits sustain. The insight is liberating. You don't need to reinvent yourself overnight. Instead, commit to small, consistent actions and trust that they will compound into meaningful change. Here we come to the end of the book summary. I hope you have enjoyed it. Last but not least, don't forget to comment, like, and share this video, and subscribe to our channel. Ciao!